Hello and welcome to Pisces Moon Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Kait Leonard, and I'm excited to explore the stars with you. Hi everyone. Welcome to the week of January 12th, through January 18th. But before we get into all of this, I'm in Southern California. I'm in Los Angeles. And right now, the whole place is burning. And I just want to send my deepest thoughts and prayers to all of the people who are having their lives really destroyed. I am so sorry, and just sending all the love and support I can. I just wanted to start with that. And yeah, I'm so sorry. And I am sending all love. This week, we're going to be talking about the nodes of the moon, the lunar nodes, changing signs. As I always say, where the nodes go, our destiny goes, right? So this is a very big deal. Now, depending on where you are, they either changed on the 11th or 12th, and even that's not quite straightforward. So let's get into this very complicated topic. All right, before I start going into the nodes of the moon, what they are, what they aren't, and the difference between the true node and the mean node, because those change signs on different dates. Before I get into that, I also wanted to let you know that also this week, now I'm not going to go into these things. These are just in case you want to research them on your own. Venus is going to square Jupiter. We might be getting carried away with Venusian kinds of things, and maybe even find that we need to rein in our enthusiasm a bit. The sun is going to oppose Mars. I do want to say that Mars, when he's retrograde, is very close to the Earth. So astrologically, the fires in California were very predictable, no less tragic. And I don't mean to make light of this situation at all, but Mars, the fire planet close to the Earth, does often get marked by fires. So the sun opposing Mars, that's fire on fire in an opposition, which is tense. So I don't know what that's going to mean, but on the personal level, expect temper and ego flare-ups and things like that. Venus is going to conjunct Saturn this week, which could have us setting boundaries on relationships, ending some relationships, and in some cases, taking relationships that have been a little bit, loosey-goosey. Is that a thing? Taking relationships sort of to the next level of formality. So some people may be getting those proposals. Who knows? Anyway, those things are going on, but let's get into the nodes of the moon because that's why we're here. Okay, so as I said before, let's first talk about what they are and what they aren't. The nodes are not planets. They're not bodies floating around in the sky. They're not orbiting in that kind of way. They are mathematical points that mark where the orbit of the moon, the path of the moon, intersects the ecliptic. Okay, so they are mathematical points out in the cosmos. That's the thing to keep in mind. The other thing, because there's some irregularity to the nodes and all of that, different astrologers will talk about the true nodes or the mean nodes, where they average them. This week, the true nodes are changing signs, and the mean nodes are going to change around January 29th. When I'm doing individual consultations, I use the mean nodes. I find that most accurate, and I think that's where we feel nodal energy the most when we're looking at the mean calculation. That's just my opinion. Different astrologers feel different things, and all of it is valid. The way I'm looking at this is the shift is happening this week for the true nodes, and I think we're going to start seeing the themes, and we're going to get into those. But I think we're going to start feeling the nodes at the end of the month and then moving forward. The other thing to keep in mind is that this is an 18-month period. So they're going to go into the next sign for 18 months. And have I told you what sign that even is? They've been on the Aries-Libra axis. So the North Node in Aries, the South Node in Libra. These are always opposite each other. They are moving from that axis to the Pisces-Virgo axis. And in many ways, that's about as different as you can get. Though we'll talk about that. So it's a big shift. Okay. So we all have a north and south node in our natal charts. That marks the path of our destiny for this lifetime. Depending on your philosophic framework, alter this explanation as you will. But for people who believe in past lives and reincarnation and all of that kind of thing, and I guess even for people who don't, what we look at is where the south node is. That's where we've kind of come in, though that has a lot to say about previous lifetimes. Those are skills that we've already mastered or kind of have under our belt and that we need to kind of let go of or grow from. The North Node marks our path of destiny for this lifetime. That's what we're shooting for. Now, let me tell you, everybody always gets all stars in their eyes when I talk about the North Node and the path of destiny. They're like, ooh, the path of destiny. Yes, it's great. It's super great, right? We all want to move toward our destiny. That's the whole point of life, I suppose, right? But it's like a toddler learning to walk. We want that child to learn to walk. Walking is a good thing, right? But they don't know how to walk. So they're going to fall down, go boom. And sometimes they go boom and have to go get stitches and stuff, right? It can be bad, those booms. And that's kind of like the North Node. Those are the life skills, life lessons, whatever, that we don't know already. We have to learn them. We have to stretch. We have to grow in that direction. And in doing so, you know what it's like to learn lessons. Sometimes you fall down, go boom. So keep that in mind. Yes, the North Node is what we're growing toward, but it's not necessarily the easy place, right? Okay, so now we've got the transiting nodes. These are the ones that circle around axis by axis, house by house. They circle around our charts. What this does is it gives us time, these 18-month periods, where we work in that house area, or it's actually two houses, right? Because it's an axis. It's an opposition always. So these houses are sort of our mission for the 18 months, right? Wherever the transiting nodes go. And then we think of it as like a spiral staircase. It will keep going and keep going many times throughout most of our lives until the North Node comes back to where our natal North Node is. And then we kind of level up and go through the circle again. So it's this lifetime of spiral staircase spiraling up and up toward our destiny. I hope all of that makes sense. And I hope all of that wasn't too elementary. I know a lot of you already know that kind of thing, but if you don't know it, it's a super important foundation to have for this conversation. The one last sort of thing I'll say is remember that where the nodes go, that's where the eclipses go. So we are going to be having our eclipses for the most part in Pisces and Virgo. We always have a couple on the two ends of the time period that are out of phase. This will have one coming up that sort of is cleaning up, taking care of those last bits from the Aries-Libra axis. And then way on the other end, we'll have the preview of the next axis. But for the most part, we're going to be getting hit with those eclipses in Pisces and Virgo. I believe we have 3 total lunar eclipses. So this is going to be a big 18 months, everyone. It's going to be a big one. Okay, so the North Node has been in Aries, the sign of me. What do I want? What do I need? How do I get my needs met, right? It's very much self-focused. And it was opposing the South Node in Libra. Libra's about being of service. It's about people pleasing and all of that. So it was about how do we let go of all this people pleaser stuff and focus more on our own selves, our needs. Now, the North Node is going into Pisces, spiritual Pisces, that unifies and dissolves boundaries and unites. So there's something really opposite, right? From Aries to Pisces. This is seriously opposite kind of energy. But there's something sort of beautiful about it if you stop and think about it. We've now focused on ourselves. I know me. I've grown for 18 months, kind of getting to know myself and defending myself and, getting my needs met. And now I'm more authentic. And it's time for me now to let others in and bond and stop thinking about so much. Like now it's not only my physical needs, my real ego-based self, but now the spiritual. Pisces is probably the most spiritual sign in the zodiac. So now it's time for me to bring in that other energy, but I do that as a more authentic me. Does that make sense? So expect that Pisces area of your chart and your life to become the focus. Pisces also has a lot to do with our emotions and our psychology. So we've gone from really thinking of the more physical, ourselves in the physical sense, and like I said, our ego selves. And now it's time to focus a little bit more on what we need emotionally. What do I need so that I feel emotionally well and emotionally stable? How's my mental health? I'm not just this body and this ego and this like go-getter out in the world. I also have a brain happening in there with all of that kind of stuff. And I need to not worry about, that's completely wrong. I need to work on my own mental health. But more than that, I think it's going to be spiritual. And I think it's going to be bringing in other people and really forming like soul unions with them, right? So it's like enough of all of the superficial friendships, like we're friends on TikTok or whatever you're thinking. I just found out that Instagram, I've been like really trying to get on Instagram more so that I have a little more of a presence. And I just learned that the way Facebook used to be for old people, now Instagram is for old people. Is that true, y'all? Anyway, I digress, but it's all just so confusing. Anywho, this is going to be a time when I think we're bringing people in that we really connect with and that we can share something more deep and meaningful. I'm not saying it's not happening online. I'm not saying anything about that. I just mean real relationship, right? It's a time when I think we're like bonding and that authenticity is going to really matter to us. And I think we're going to find our tribes. I think that's one of the really, really good thing that's going to come out of this period. This is also a time when a lot of people are going to be deepening their spiritual practices. I really mean in a very authentic and true way. So finding the practices, for one, that really work for them. Remember, we're coming out of Aries, so we still have that self-focus, that strong self that we're bringing into this. What are my spiritual needs? So it's really about sort of looking at it and really questioning and really examining what we need on that level. And maybe examining isn't actually the right idea. It's going to be a lot more about intuiting and feeling. And that's another thing that we're going to be working on, I think, in a way that we're going to be evolving during this cycle, this 18-month period. I think that we are going to learn to trust our intuitions, and we are going to, just listen a lot more to the inner voice. I actually think we're going to be letting go of a lot of those outside authorities. Maybe I'll just leave it at that. And one thing that makes me think this is the South Node is in Virgo. Virgo is the attention to details, right? Very perfectionistic. Virgo likes to be of service. And so that's kind of the part that we may be trying to incorporate. Because remember, when we have an opposition, it's not like, oh, I like this end of it and I hate that end back there. The real goal is to find some balance, right? Bring forward what still serves me from that South Node area and let go of what doesn't. So Virgo's desire to be of service, that was way too much from my mouth, I have to tell you. That fits really, really well with that Pisces universal love kind of feeling, right? So you may find that you actually deepen your commitment to being of service to people, animals, the planet, whatever your thing is. But Virgo is also picky, and cares a lot about the details, right? Virgo is an earth sign that is very much about like, we're going to move ahead because we're going to get all these details together and we're going to make it work that way, right? And I think we're going to be doing less of that. In fact, I don't think so. I know so, because that's what this nodal axis means. We're moving away from that every little detail. We're going to, stressing every little aspect of everything and relying a whole lot more on inner truth, divine truth, cosmic truth, however you want to think about it, right? I think that's what the ride that we're really in for. As I said, we're going to have the eclipses in these areas, and what happens when eclipses take place is that we get like a jolt right there, like right here. You need to make changes right here. And usually it's very faded. Stuff will just happen in our lives that it's like, ta-da, that thing just happened. Now deal with it. We don't usually have a lot of choice. It's pretty intense. I will talk about the eclipses when we get there. I've put a whole lot more detail about this topic and even the eclipse dates and things like that over in my Substack. Totally free, Pisces Moon Substack. Please go over and join. I do not use your email in any kind of weird way. I promise you I don't. Like maybe 2-3 times a year, you'll either get an announcement of a freebie or a special. That's all I do. I'm not together enough to be able to send out a bunch of emails. So I promise you, okay? Go on over. There's always a little bit of extra stuff in the Substack, and it's also a good place to talk to me, and I would love to talk to you all. Okay. And on a final note about this whole thing, don't forget to look at where Pisces and Virgo fall in your natal charts. Those houses are going to tell you a lot about what are you letting go of? What kind of thing are you not giving up, but lessening, what is it? Letting go of. Why make it difficult? Where's Virgo? What house is it in? Is it family? Maybe you are moving away from being only about family and moving toward, say, the career house. You get it. They're always opposites, right? So look at Virgo and Pisces. You are in some way releasing, letting go of, moving away from the Virgo house, and you are moving toward and putting more focus and moving into the Pisces house. So the house topics are going to have a lot to do with where you're going to be doing these adjustments. Does that make sense? I super duper hope it does. And like always, thank you all so much. And some of you have reached out to me and asked about whether it was safe during the fires and all of that. And I should have thanked you all at the beginning. And I was so caught up in all of this madness that is Southern California that I forgot to say thank you. And I'm super grateful for you listening, and please share and do all this stuff. It will really help me. And as always, until next week, go out and seize the energies of the stars. This is my wish for you always, and I will be back with you really soon. Bye.